We know that you've got a very brief two-day visit to Kenya as part of a tour of several African countries. When it comes to Kenya specifically, though, what's your view on the economic growth story it's telling right now?
Well, Alishia, let me say that we are pretty optimistic on Kenya. We've been putting out reports that are very public that essentially say this is a country that has done its homework, that has the fundamentals under control. Like, basically it's doing its monetary, fiscal policy, its debt policy, very conservative. And now it's a question of just unleashing the potential of its economy, particularly through its private sector. So what we see here is some sectors leading off the pack. Clearly the ICT, the information and communication technology sector, is doing very well. Actually, Kenya is one of the leaders. But there are others. I think this is a country with incredible potential, given its geographic location, to lead, if you want, the East African sub-region.
Of course, this is in a context where we've got significant power shift in play right now. At the moment, we've got some risk aversion coming to bear in developing and frontier markets. But short-term hiccups aside, I mean, which countries do you see as contributing to the world's global economic recovery right now?
Well, this is the question of the $1 million. Which countries will be successful in the next 5 years? And the short answer is, will be those countries that can balance economic discipline, managing their accounts in a very conservative way, economic discipline with social solidarity. Those that can balance market with people, efficiency with equity. Those that can travel that sweet path in between seems to be the one that gain political sustainability. People kind of like what they see, so there are no great deviations from a vision of the country going forward. Now, where do we see that? Well, we see that mostly in developing countries today. Funny enough, we begin to experience, if you want, a switch over in the global engines of growth, whereby the developing country economies will grow faster over the next 5 years than the rich world. So by 2015, somewhere there, the size of the economy that we call developing world will be bigger than the size of the economy of the rich nations.
Of course, this is where South-South cooperation is becoming more and more emphasized. We've recently seen South Africa, for one, being included in that BRIC nation economy.
That's right. Well, imagine, we are beginning to experience, let alone benefit from, the integration among developing countries. And this is one of the big trends that is going to carry our growth independently of what happens in the north. Very interesting. We have some sources of growth that are independent of what happens in the north, that are, belong to us. One is clearly the fact that in the past we didn't trade with each other. This South-South trade is something that we will begin to do now. But there are others. For example, we are forming middle classes. And beyond the fact that middle classes have a different pattern of consumption, they go for LCD TVs and cars and cell phones. Beyond all that, the middle class is a moderator of policy. Again, they are the ones that prevent our politicians from doing crazy things. But we also have other sources. For example, we have our commodities, which we project in the World Bank. They are going to be very pricey, very expensive, for quite a while. They may not continue growing as fast as they were growing, but they will stay up there in a higher plateau. So in the past, those commodities used to be problems for us because they corrupted our politicians, they polluted our environment. In a way, they appreciated our currencies to the point where our non-commodity sectors couldn't compete abroad. All that today is less problematic because, frankly, it's more difficult to be corrupt. It's more difficult to pollute openly without being plastered on YouTube very quickly. And finally, this idea that we cannot manage our currencies is old. Our central banks today are much more efficient, professional, and transparent than they used to be in the past.